Hey, Zane Griggs here. Hey, do you know what you can do to make your body more insulin sensitive and to make it burn off more carbs? Because let's face it, most of us here are trying to stick to a low carb diet, right? Because we don't want to gain extra weight. We don't want all the diseases and other, the diabetes, all the health risks that come with insulin resistance, extra weight gain, excess carbs. We're trying to eat a low carb diet, but we're not perfect, are we? I mean, there's going to be some chocolate getting in there. We can't just live on broccoli, asparagus, Brussels sprouts all the time. Those are good things, but we're human. We occasionally might have an adult beverage or something kind of starchy. It's just going to happen, right? So we want to prepare our bodies to actually be able to handle the carbs that do the starchier stuff that does get in there, that gets into our diet. And a great way to do that, believe it or not, is to lift weights. And now, before you say, oh, well, okay, just listen, hang on. I'm not saying you're going to turn into a bodybuilder. I'm not saying you're going to be in the gym lifting weights 5 days a week. Okay, no, hold on. Let me explain why. Okay, it's not about the calories. It has nothing to do with the calories. It has to do with insulin sensitivity. Now, you've probably heard of that word, but you may not realize what that means. Insulin resistance, let's start with insulin resistance, the opposite of insulin sensitivity. Insulin resistance is what causes diabetes or hyperinsulinemia. So that means that when you do eat some starch or carb, whatever, the insulin is released, and it takes it first to the muscle cells to replenish missing glycogen or missing fuel in your muscle cells. But if they're full because they haven't been used, or they're resistant, which means that they're not responding to insulin anymore because they've been bombarded by insulin. They've been hit by insulin so many times they're just almost immune to it. They've developed an immunity to the amount of insulin, either from having a high carb diet or just basically age. I mean, even the leanest guy that you knew in high school is going to start developing some degree of insulin resistance just through age as a course of life. We all develop that to a degree relative to where we started. So that insulin resistance is going to say, you know what, I don't need anything, I'm good. Or it just, the insulin's not making a response, not to absorb that glycogen, to absorb the carbs, the glucose. And this is why diabetics have to take insulin or metformin or something like that to get those muscles to respond. It's like you're upping the dose. Well, let's think about how that really isn't taking us direction we want to go. We're now increasing the amount of insulin or chemicals, basically, that we have to take into our body to make our muscle cells do what they should do to some degree naturally. Okay, and yes, it's better than someone that's the way medical profession approaches it. Now, if you want to approach it from the side of food, yes, you lower your carb intake, eat more fats for your energy, less carb. But on an activity level, weight training increases insulin sensitivity, so it makes those muscle cells say, hey, you know what? We're drained. We need to replenish the glycogen, and it makes them respond to insulin because you're using them. You're draining them. You're getting nerves to wake up those muscle cells that you maybe haven't been using, and get them responsive, get them active, so they actually have some energy turnover going on in them. So a little weight training, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, doing a full body workout. So some pushing, some pulling, some leg work, okay? It's different than cardio. The primary fuel, 60-70% of the time of the fuel being used is coming from glucose or stored glycogen, okay, in the muscle for weight training, as opposed to cardio, where it's primarily, because of the level, depending on what you're doing, but to get to the level, is fat burning, okay? So creating insulin sensitivity is enhanced much more by the weight training because it's a little more strenuous. It's a little more taxing. So you're looking at rep ranges, whether you're going heavy, okay, if you guys want to go heavy, 5 to 8 rep range, but as much as 10 to 20 reps on your sets, you're going to get more insulin sensitivity. They're going to be more receptive to, 1, needing fuel because you're going to drain the fuel down, and 2, because they're going to respond better to insulin. So that when insulin comes knocking with that glucose that sneaks into your diet, it's actually going to say, yeah, we got room for you, come on in. It's not going to say, no, we've heard this before. So it reverses that immunity that was developed to the insulin. and makes it much more sensitive, insulin sensitive. So less of it is having to be shuttled to fat cells, okay? And you're not continuing down that path, that basically inevitable age-related path of insulin resistance. So try a little weight training, like I said, some pushing, which is like chest movements, overhead movements, pushing, okay? Pulling, rows, pull downs. You don't have to isolate every single muscle in your body. You don't. That's bodybuilding. You don't have to do that to get benefits. Couple pushing exercises, couple pulling exercises, some leg exercises, okay? Some squatting, some lunges, whatever it is you need to do that's safe for you, but try to work a little bit of everything 2 or 3 times a week, okay? And you will start to develop and start, awakening up those muscle cells and developing a little more insulin sensitivity so you can handle those carbs when they do get into your diet, okay? So if you enjoyed this and found some value, if you haven't already, please like my page and feel free to share with a friend. I'll talk to you later.